Okay, now you should be ready to be able to add and subtract mixed fractions. If you haven't completed the mixed fractions and improper fractions My Maths task, then pause this video and go and complete that first. If you have, then you need to remember that denominators must be the same if we're adding and subtracting. How do we do that? So we can either find the lowest common multiple and make both of our fractions have the same denominator by using equivalent fractions, or we can use the kiss and smile technique, which I introduced to you in a previous video. If you're adding and subtracting mixed fractions, always do the whole numbers first. So, a couple of examples that will help you from question 4 onwards. We're going to do 3.5 plus 4 2/3. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add the 3 plus the 4, and that's 7, and then we're going to put our fractions inside a bracket. So we've got 1/2 plus 2/3. Now we want to find out what our common denominator is going to be, and so we're going to smile. 2 times 3, and that gives us a common denominator of 6. Now we need to work out our equivalent fractions, and so we do some kissing. Top number on the left hand side multiplied by bottom number on the right hand side gives us a 3, and then we're going to add on 2 at the top multiplied by 2 at the bottom gives us 4. Now we have a common denominator, so we can add them together. So we're going to end up with 7 and 7/6. Now we cannot leave it like this because our numerator is larger than our denominator. This is an improper fraction. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to change this into a proper fraction or a mixed fraction. So how do we go about doing that? Well, if you think about it, we're going to have 7 and we're going to add on, and 7 divided by 6 gives us 1, remainder 1, and our denominator doesn't change. Now we've got another deal with whole numbers first, and we're going to end up with 8 and 1/6. We can't simplify this any further, so that's our final answer. Right, what about subtracting? Exactly the same. This time you're just taking away. Remember, you can't change the order that you do subtraction in. So the first thing you're going to do is 7 take away 3. That gives you 4. And then inside our bracket, we're going to write 5/7 take away 1/2. Now, we keep the 4. We need to work out our common denominator. How do we do it? I can hear you all shouting at me, "Smile, Miss Brooks." And 7 times 2 is 14. Then it does matter which way round you do your subtracting. So you have to do top left multiplied by bottom right, which gives us 10. And then we're taking away top right multiplied by bottom left, which is 1 times 7, which is 7. Now, we have 4 and 3/14. We can't simplify it any further, so that is our final answer. Now, what if we end up with something like 9 take away 2 and 3/4? So, we're going to start it off exactly how we've been doing the other ones. Deal with the whole numbers first. 9 take away 2 is 7. But we still have to take away that 3/4. So, how are we going to do it? The easiest thing is to borrow one of these and change them into quarters. So if we think about that, we could have 6 pizzas that we haven't cut up yet and 1 pizza that we've cut up into 4 quarters. And then we can take away our 3/4. So now we end up with 6 and 1/4. And we can always check that our answer works because 6 plus 2 is 8 and 3/4 plus 1/4 is 1 and 8 plus 1 gives us 9 and that's what we started with. And this is simplified, so it's our final answer. Any questions, then send me a message.